it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So believe it or not, we are down to our second to last week of our summer reading program for 2021. And our theme for this week is Tales of New Places. So we are taking a look at books that take place in other places, either around the world that are real or they are completely made up. And they are places that, I don't know about you, if you read these, I would love to go to these locations. So let's take a look at what we have today. Our first one is Guardian of the Dead. So living in New Zealand, Ellie is in her last year of boarding school and everything is going great. She's working on a production of Midsummer's Night Dream with her best friend Kevin, and then she has this crush on this guy named Mark who is also part of the crew, but there's something kind of peculiar about him. But Ellie can't figure out exactly what it is. And then one evening, Mark randomly comes up to her and he warns her not to go out alone, then just walks away. And she thinks his advice has something to do with this serial type killer who seems to be like on this like crime murder spree taking place in the area known as the Eye Slasher. So she doesn't kind of heed his warning all that much, and it's when she decides not to follow his advice that she's walking down the road going home and she runs into this strange woman named Rika, and she automatically has these chills going down her spine. Soon Ellie finds herself immersed in mythology, folklore, and vengeful fairies of the Maori heritage that they want to take back what is rightfully theirs. This mystery fantasy starts fast and it does not slow down. If you love mythology, a good murder mystery, even some fantasy, or you just want to read a book that takes place in New Zealand, make sure to read this one as soon as possible, Guardian of the Dead. An Ember in the Ashes. So this is a fantasy that takes place in ancient Rome. So this is kind of a unique spin on what you might know from history. So there are two main groups of people living in the Martial Empire. There are the Masks, who are the ruthless rulers, and then there are the other group called the Scholars, and they are suppressed and they are lived as slaves for the Masks people. So Layla lives with her grandparents and her brother. They are scholars, and all of them keep a low profile. But then her brother is arrested one day for treason, and she needs to know what happened, and it's going to be up to her to do something about it. So she does what anyone else would do and joins the Scholar Resistance in hopes of getting him out of prison. So this resistance, they sent her on this super secret message, and her quest is to be a spy in the Blackcliff Academy, which is the advanced military school for the Masks. She becomes the personal slave for the commandant who rules the school, and it's there that she meets Elias, who's considered to be one of the best students in this school, and he's in the running to become the next emperor. But Elias doesn't want any of it, and all he wants to do is leave the school, but that's punishable by death. So the two forces, they join together and nothing is going to go as planned. This book pulls no punches. So there are descriptive and gruesome descriptions of battle scenes, fighting, as well as there are some physical and sexual torture and punishments, and the commandant is pretty much evil. So the first in a quartet series, which are all out, you will want to know what happens next as soon as you get to the end of this one. So make sure you check out at least the second one when you come to get this one, because there is a cliffhanger ending, an Ember in the Ashes. Six of Crows. So first in a duology, you will be on the edge of your seat with this one. I could not put this one down. So we find our main character, Kaz, living in Ketterdam, and he's better known as a thief lord. One day, he's approached by a councilman with a proposition too good to pass up. They need Kaz to go rescue a scientist that is being held prisoner in the most secure prison in the world. If he succeeds in doing this mission, he will be rich beyond his imagination. So naturally, Kaz agrees, and then he puts together a team of 6 individuals, each with their own skills needed to infiltrate this prison and accomplish this impossible task. Then naturally it's going to be easier said than done, as there are secrets, grudges, and deadly rivalry even within the group members. When they find out, though, that the scientist that they are sent to rescue is actually responsible for developing a drug that has magical possibilities, that it will most likely lead to wars, deaths, and government upheavals, they are faced with a decision of what is the right thing to do while also trying to get what they want out of life. You will not be able to put this one down like I wasn't able to. Make sure you check out the sequel. It is out, so you can read both of them start to finish, back to back. This is Six of Crows. The Star-Touched Queen. So if you love a good romance, some fantasy and folklore, and some awesome adventure, then this is the one for you. So Princess Mayavati, also known as Maya, is an outcast from her family and kingdom, as because when she was born, her horoscope predicted a marriage of death and destruction. Basically, it predicted she's actually going to marry death. So when her father decides it's time to marry her off in order to stave off a potential war, Maya decides she's having no part of it and she's going to drink some poison to end her life. Only when she goes to do that, she finds herself stalked and rescued by this mysterious stranger named Amar, who asks to marry her, and all of a sudden she finds herself queen of Akrium, this secret place that is filled with magic and mysteries. Maya slowly starts to think that her life is in danger, though, in this newfound place, and she then discovers this shocking secret about Amar, and her life will never be the same. It will be up to her to figure out what this ancient mystery is that binds her and Amar together. So this book can be complicated at times. There are some pretty intricate plot points, but it is written beautifully. It's filled with such descriptive imagery. I highly recommend it, The Star-Touched Queen. The Way Back. So it's 1812 in a tiny town called Tupik in Eastern Europe, where there lives a girl named Bluma who has just lost her grandmother, and at the same time somehow has ended up with Death's instrument of destruction, which is basically, it looks like a spoon. And then there's also this other guy living in the town that she doesn't really have anything to do with, but his name is Yehuda. He's trying to figure out everything he can to recover the soul of the father he just recently reconnected with. They both start out on separate journeys that lead to both of them going to what's called the Far Country. This is a place that's inhabited by demons and the army of the dead. When their paths finally intersect, they finally are going to need each other in order to accomplish their goal of defeating death and coming out alive. This dark historical fairy tale with some occasional humor is inspired by Jewish folklore and is told in alternating points of view, and it will leave you guessing. This is The Way Back. And our last one is like this newfound classic. I love this book. This is The House of the Scorpion. So it is set in what is considered to be the near future. In the United States and Mexico, they've come together and they've decided they're going to make a country between them in order to deal with the ongoing border issues. That country is then called Opium. This country is run by drug lords because there is tons of drugs being created, made, sold there, and it's filled with human clones. These are the people who are in the fields doing most of the work. One of which is our main character named Matt. Growing up, Matt is treated like an animal, but when it is discovered that he is the clone of the leader of Opium, who goes by El Patron, who is 142 years old, things changed for him. When Matt discovers the reason why El Patron has been able to live for so long, he actually has numerous clones, and when it comes time that he needs one of the organs from them, he has them transplanted so he can keep living. Matt decides that he's going to need to run away before that becomes his fate. So when El Patron dies, though, Matt sees that he has this window to flee that he never had before. But when he actually does take advantage of it, he also realizes that it may be up to him to right everything that is wrong in the corrupt country of Opium. The science fiction thriller is one that will keep you up all night reading because you will want to find out what happens to Matt. There is a sequel, it is a duology, so make sure you check that one out because you're going to want to know what happens as soon as you put this one down. This is House of the Scorpion. So there's just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that are in new places, either made up or real, but they're not here. So you can read them, find yourself in a whole new environment that you never even considered, or maybe you'll add a new place to your wish list of travel. I hope you tune back next week when we have a whole new teen book talk, and I hope you have a great week.